English podcast from the EnglishCharisma channel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of English Charisma. I'm your host, Leo, and I'm so glad you're here. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something very real, very human. Life is not the same for everyone. We'll hear this idea explained at 3 different levels of English: A2, B2, and C1. First, Sophia will share her story in simple A2 English. Then Daniel will give us a richer B2 perspective. And finally, Emma will take us to the advanced level, C1, and share her thoughts in depth. So wherever you are in your English learning journey, you will find something to connect with today. Let's begin with Sophia.
Hello, my name is Sophia. I am happy to be here today. Life is not the same for everyone. Some people have more, some people have less. Some people live in big houses, some people live in small houses. Some people have cars, some people walk. Some people eat 3 meals every day, but others do not. When I was a child, I thought life was the same for all children. I thought everybody had toys, books, and food, but I learned it is not true. I had a friend. Her name was Anna. She had many toys, big dolls, puzzles, and even a computer game. I had only a small doll and some crayons. She had her own room. I shared my room with my sister. She traveled in summer. I stayed home. Life was different for us. At first, I was jealous. I wanted to have the same things. But later, I learned something important. Even if life is not the same, we can still be happy. Happiness is not only toys or money. Happiness is also family, friends, and love. I remember another story. In my town, some families had cars. They could go shopping or visit family in another city. My family did not have a car. We walked or we took the bus. Sometimes in winter, it was very cold. The bus was late. It was not easy, but we laughed together. We sang songs in the bus. That made it special. So yes, life was not the same. But still, it had good moments. When I grew older, I saw more differences. Some people went to big schools with many books, computers, and sports. My school was small. We had only a few books, no computers, no big playground. But I had good teachers. They cared about us. That made me feel lucky, even if the school was small. Life is also different in health. Some people are strong. Some people are sick. My uncle was sick for many years. He could not work. It was hard for him. Other people went to work every day and had money. My uncle had to stay at home. Life is not fair sometimes. But I believe one thing. Everyone wants love, health, and happiness. Maybe our houses are different. Maybe our jobs are different. Maybe our money is different. But in the end, our hearts are the same. What can we do? I think we can share. Share food, share time, share love. I do not have much money, but sometimes I help children in my neighborhood with homework. Sometimes I listen to an old neighbor when she feels lonely. Small things can make a big difference. I learned a simple truth. A little kindness goes a long way.
Thank you, Sophia. That was so clear, so honest. You reminded us that even with simple English, we can talk about big ideas. I loved your story about singing on the bus with your family. That shows us how people can create joy, even in hard situations. And your message about kindness, that really touched my heart. Now, let's hear from Daniel. He'll take us deeper, with more detail and some new expressions.
Hi everyone, I'm Daniel. Thanks for having me, Leo. So, life isn't the same for everyone. We all know that. But sometimes we forget. There's a saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. We often look at other people's lives and think they have it all. But if you scratch beneath the surface, you'll see that everyone carries some kind of burden. In my opinion, opportunities make the biggest difference. Some people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They grow up in families with money, education, and connections. Others have to work their socks off just to make ends meet. These differences shape our future, our jobs, our health, and even our happiness. Let me tell you a story. When I was a teenager, I traveled abroad for the first time. I met people my age who spoke 3 languages, had studied at great schools, and had traveled the world with their families. Back home, many of my friends had never even left the city. That trip opened my eyes. It made me realize how uneven the playing field really is. Education is a huge factor. If you get a good education, doors open for you. If you don't, life can feel like climbing a mountain with no end in sight. Money is another. People say money doesn't buy happiness, and sure, that's partly true. But let's be honest, money buys comfort, safety, and opportunities. Without it, life is stressful. But here's something I believe. Life is not just about what you have, but how you deal with what you have. I've seen people with very little who are incredibly generous and full of joy. And I've met rich people who seem miserable, always chasing more. So yes, life is not the same for everyone. But sometimes those differences teach us important lessons. People with fewer resources often teach us gratitude, resilience, and community spirit. At the end of the day, we can't control where we're born, but we can control how we treat each other. A smile, a helping hand, a little understanding, it can go a long way.
Thank you, Daniel. That was thoughtful and very real. I like how you used idioms like the grass is always greener and born with a silver spoon. Those really major ideas sound natural. And I think your story about meeting young people abroad was powerful. It shows the reality of opportunities, how they can change a person's future. Now, let's go one step further. Emma will share her C1 perspective, advanced, detailed, and deep.
Thank you, Leo. Hi, everyone. I'm Emma. I completely agree with Sophia and Daniel. Life is not the same for everyone, and the reasons are complex. Inequality isn't random. It's shaped by history, society, politics, and even geography. Think about privilege. It's not just about money. It's about the circumstances you're born into. Someone born in a wealthy nation might have endless opportunities, education, healthcare, freedom to travel. Meanwhile, someone equally talented, born in a less privileged place, may struggle to access even the basics. This doesn't mean we should feel hopeless. On the contrary, awareness should lead to action. As the saying goes, knowledge is power. Once we understand inequality, we can start to change it. Maybe not the whole world, but at least our communities, our workplaces, our schools. Another important point is that success is not universal. For some, success is wealth or status. For others, it's family, peace of mind, or creativity. We should remember, life isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. I also believe that hardship can build resilience. Some of the strongest, kindest, and most creative people I know have gone through serious struggles. They've had to adapt, to fight, to keep going when life seemed unfair. And that strength is something money can't buy. Of course, this doesn't mean inequality is fair or acceptable. It simply means that from difficulty, we sometimes gain perspective, empathy, and wisdom. So yes, life is not the same for everyone, But maybe that truth can connect us instead of divide us. If we accept that each person's path is unique, maybe we can build a society that values fairness, compassion, and respect.
Thank you, Emma. That was such a powerful conclusion. You reminded us that inequality is real, but also that it can inspire us to change things for the better. So, today, we explored one big idea. Life is not the same for everyone through 3 levels of English. Sophia showed us in A2 English that even with simple words, you can express big truths. Daniel gave us a B2 perspective with idioms and personal stories that made the topic real. And Emma, with C1 English, took us deep into the roots of inequality and left us with hope and inspiration. Remember this, your English level doesn't stop you from sharing your thoughts. Whether you use simple sentences or advanced vocabulary, your voice matters. Thank you for listening to English Charisma. Take care, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next episode.